Hi everyone. Um, I appreciate how you have been following up our posts and our videos for the Aipalbot, and um, I want to show how to add or train our microbot on a new rule that we just implement and deploy to the microbot. As the um, preview of some of the earlier videos that we have uh, presented and demonstrated. We have talked about the implies rules and listing rules. And going to the data tab, that is the second tab, we could see example of the training rule that we have. We have what implies what, we have change what, we have engage, listing, and special instructions. From the earlier videos, I have demonstrated how to use what implies what and also how to use listing. And I also demonstrated how to see our unpublished knowledge. Those are the instructions that we have given to our microbots, but we have not made it public. And once we publish the instructions, we get them available under the published knowledge. So some of the instructions that I have given to my microbot, which I've demonstrated in my earlier videos. Now you can also try to check our videos on YouTube. Once you search for Aipalbot, only our videos will show up. So here we have seen the example of how to train a microbot for listing. The example of the listing is when you request anything from the microbot based on the training you have given to it. It could provide the option from it will provide you the response based on numberings like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's what we refer to as listing. And the one for the implies simply represents the kind of training response that the microbots will be choosing the response at random. Like if you say hi, and the microbots could respond how are you, hi, or hey. And another option that we have trained it to is implies. So whenever we have trained our microbots and we publish it to become public, if we choose to, and we will see the data description that we have given to that published data, and we could select it at any time to see the detail of what our microbot is having in its memory. And today I want to show how to add what we call chain understanding model or chain understanding algorithm to our microbot. We have already simplified it and optimize it in a way that it could become a new rule on its own. And we make it very flexible that at any moment you don't want that rule again for your training instructions, you can detach it or remove it from microbot memory and it will go off. So what gives us the concept of the chain understanding? In our earlier research, we are trying to study how a small child that is born from 1 year old to year old gets to know more about the environment, learn the culture, learn from the environment, learn from the parents, the family, by what he sees or what she observes around. And we are trying to model that for our microbot to be able to simplify how each individual can transfer their knowledge to a machine. And the first aspect of how we find out we need to implement a kind of a chain understanding to our microbot is during the chatting with one of our microbots, we discover Like if I have an example of, let's pick example of maybe a profile, and I ask, who are you? What is your name? Can I know you? These are various options by which my microbot could select and process the options we give to it to be able to give one response. Or maybe we go to another one which gives like, what can you do? What can you offer? All these are various ways by which we construct and label our instruction to be able to provide a way for the microbot to understand what to bring up. So this is similar to how a small child is being trained from their primary school or grade 1 school, where they learn these 3 words or 4 words are for this, are for that. But there is more than that that is needed to be able to improve on what has been taught, not to keep it repeated each time. So an example of that, if we train a child that stand up means you should leave where you sit and come up standing in a position, or we say, okay, get up, it means the same thing. But the child, if the child only knows about stand up, and we keep speaking stand up to the child, and we have already told the child, when we say stand up, it means this, that, like 5 different things. And sometimes somebody, just maybe a visitor, just come home and say, okay, get up, and the child will be confused, like, I don't know what get up means. So the chain understanding of a child, how the child could process, or how humans process the knowledge, if the if the visitor could tell the child, get up means stand up. So it means from the memory or the brain of that child, the child will know get up also means 5 different things, because it has already changed the get up to stand up. So the child doesn't have to be re-instructed that get up means leave where you sit and stand up, or leave where you sit and stay up. So the child automatically knows that when I have been taught stand up means 5 things, and later someone told me get up also means stand up, the child won't expect the person to now state like 5 different things that get up means. So that is the model that we have built to our microbot. So let's take example of these instructions. I have trained my microbot that what you can do, what can you offer, introduce yourself, explain yourself, describe yourself. All these are different options that could be described to be used to describe what maybe I could offer. And something like this, we have already demonstrated it in our earlier video, and let's take a look at how that could help us out. Let's redemonstrate it again by asking our microbot something that is similar or closer to some of these options that we have here. So and if we take a look at the review of what we have done before, so I could go to my microbot and just construct a question to ask something about the owner of this microbot. So can you we got a disconnection on the internet. So can you another way we could construct again is we could could just form different ones. Can you just form it in a way that is part of what has been given as option, or how someone could ask something about you? Yes, can you introduce yourself to me? Okay, so and in a different ways, we can say, let's give it a try. Briefly tell me about yourself. Let's see what we get. So we expect to get the same thing in different ways. So which means the way Microbot could respond to give answers to a user will be based on some of all these options that are already provided. But we don't want to retrain Microbot again on what to respond, but we want to change what Microbot knows with what we want it to understand in order to provide a response. So, and we could use this as an example, and again we can use a very simple one, which is something like a greeting as an example. How are you? How are you doing today? What's up? Let's see how we could quickly tell Microbot again if somebody asks you. So if we come back here, how are you? If we ask how are you doing, so it responds in a way, so which means it could have options between these three that if it is asked. But let's assume like I want to have a different way of chaining my Microbot to understand if someone asks in this way, it also means reply, I'm doing great. So I could ask, just giving a kind of a word. So I want to use a new language here. So and I will be changing it to the first word here. So the first word here, the first sentence here means how are you? So I can simply say Bawoni is a dialect language. It's called Yoruba. So I could say chain that to how are you? So that's it. So Microbot, we know that Microbot, we know if I ask it something sometimes later about this new word, it means respond as I'm doing great. So I don't have to retrain it that okay, reply as I'm doing great when I give you Bawoni. So let's try to ask it Bawoni. Can also use this exclamation also to introduce to change it to. So we could say Bawoni implies how are you? Bawoni changes how are you? So let's see. So let's ask it again, Bawoni. Okay, let's check something. Oh, I see. So, and that is one thing that we just need to note. So we allow, so when so what I was trying to check is Microbots respond to me like it learned and understood what I asked it to learn. But I'm still wondering, when I was asking it about Bawoni, it is not still responding to me uh, the response that I expected. Because I expect it to give me a response corresponding to choosing any options from some of the uh, instructions that I have given to it on how to respond to how are you, right? So, and but I noticed like after I've changed it to how are you, I expect it to respond, I'm doing great, or what about you, I'm cool, and you, but it's not responding. So by design, we separate the private data from public data. So if I have trained my microbot on public data, I've trained my microbot and I've made the data public, we disconnect what you have on private from what you have on the public. So and so which means if I just change a new word to data that I have published, for that data to become functional, I need to publish it as well to be able to chain it completely to what I have published. So which means if I select this and I publish it, it becomes public data. So which means for us that the our you is a published data which is in the public. We don't want any interference from public data with the private data. So if you want something to be private, it will remain private within your system. But when you chain a private data with the public data, we disconnect the two so as not to create a loophole for data infusion. So for us to be able to get the new change word to chain it to what we have here, we want to publish it. So let's publish it as uh, greetings in Yoruba. So and I could publish this guy. So once I publish it, so at this point the data will become public. So which means the chain flow is complete. So the chain flow is complete and I could view it from my published knowledge and try to select let's say greetings in Yoruba. Then it should be able to show me that I have chained Bawoni to how are you. But here we don't actually see how we Microbot know what to respond when Bawoni is asked. So that is the application of the chaining understanding algorithm. So what it does is it looks out for all the existing knowledge in its memory. Keep thinking, keep thinking. What does Bawoni means? Have I been told what Bawoni means? It will keep trying to check its understanding if it could find an answer. And because we have changed it to this first how are you, then we expect it to be responding as I'm doing great, I'm cool. So let's try that out from this private section before we go to the public to check it out. So because we have already published it, it means we have bound it together with the published data. So we can still see it in our private. But if we are chaining a knowledge that is private to a knowledge that is public, we disconnect the flow. So if you want to chain a new word or a new sentence to a published data, then the chaining has to be published to complete the flow. So we can see now that I could ask it Bawoni, and it's actually replying, I'm doing great, right? And I could ask it again, Bawoni again. I expect it to pick something else again. So which means I have chained without providing a response for Bawoni, but by chain understanding, just like a child is able to like say, okay, yeah, how are you? They have told me it's Bawoni. Then it means I could go to pick options of how are you. And this could be very flexible to be able to transform and implement different ways of saying things, and we chain them up in a continuous flow. So let's now go back to our public data, and let's try to go back to LinkedIn, and let's put it up, and let's see what we have. And right here I could ask it Bawoni, my friend. Let's see what this will give us. So well, now we could ask it Bawoni, my friend. So which means we have given it a different chaining word, and now it could resolve and be able to simplify that. Okay, whenever I'm asked this question, it's actually the same as how are you that we have provided it. So this is how to chain and keep chaining the knowledge that we have trained our microbot, and we could chain as long as much as we can. And more about this chaining, because we know it's a little bit complicated. We'll still create more videos to explain more in details the relationship between different rules that we have, how we can use it to be able to build a replicated knowledge that could be similar to when we are training up a child on how to live or what to do or how to do things. So thank you for the video. You can give comments, or if you have more questions, you could drop a comment below. And more about this, we will still come up to show us why we are having few more days to get our data, our project to the public. So let's see this as a simple demo, as a pre-demo, and we will still bring up another way to give more understanding of how the chaining works. So thank you for watching the video and listening to it. So have a good day.